The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Now returning you to the Children of Primus.
Oh, everybody popped in at once.
Welcome.
Oh, I was running around attempting to grab all the Dinobots I had. Yeah. The Grimlock has the best feature ever because it is a moving now.
Animated one?
Yeah, so you can just like host the show instead of me. Hey. Oh, hey. Yeah, you got the small, medium, and large all together.
So the
Small,
cores, the
medium, large,
G1s, and the Studio series.
And I think that's the Power of the Primes ones up top.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Power of the Primes are on top of the boxes. There's a box set, and then there's the SS ones out of the box. The next row is the originals, and then this one is the War in Your Pocket.
Oh, nice. I was in the process of taking apart the core guys because I thought that because I had them combined, and I thought it would look nicer if they were, in their separate forms. Here's Snarl as a leg. he will be not a leg eventually.
It is interesting looking up the Dinobots, and then there's that one character called the Beast, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just a mismatch of madness.
Again, the interview with the guy that wrote the story that was Our Worlds Are in Danger did is a very fun read. It's just this older British guy with a funny attitude about the whole thing.
Okay.
People point out that he what do you think about the fact that the Beast is like this notorious low point in the fandom? And he's like, well, I wrote the story a couple decades ago, and you guys are still talking about it, so
so it must be a good thing.
Yeah,
that is a point.
Charlie's in the comments.
Yep, Charlie's in the comments. I was going to say, hey guys, hey Charlie.
Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy.
See, the thing about the core Snarl is it's really hard to get the tail off of his head, so he spends a lot of time just kind of looking like this.
Wow.
With just the helmet on. He's got to split it in half, but it's like a millimeter thin connection. I wish I had an X-Acto knife with me just to pry it open.
I see a few jokes running with that. Just this, just walking into things.
Yeah.
Talk about a shithead.
Oh, Origin Wheel Jack. With his...
Oh, shit. Anthony, I'm sorry. I'll get on that this week. Hey, wait a minute. Spin, do you live close to him?
Yeah, we're not far from each other.
Can I just send it back with you when you come next weekend?
You could do that.
There you go.
There we go.
I'm guessing Mr. Magnus found one for Anthony.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
his
yeah.
wedding gift. I bought him one.
And I really appreciate it.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
I
it's taken so long, man. It's been very busy here this past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We've had
Well,
the wedding.
like-
I had to go to Vegas last week.
Well, like, listen, if I get free things, I'm certainly not going to complain or be impatient about that fact. You know what I mean?
Right. But when you going to send me that free thing, damn it?
Nah, that ain't me.
Oh, me. It's a long day today.
Yeah.
This
I
week,
got him.
Here's Grimlock, very
This
chunky.
week, I guess.
well, let's see. He's very
His
chunky.
proportions, yeah, his proportions amuse me. It's because he also has to be a leg, so they needed him to have like mass to him.
It's funny how
Oh, that's
Grim-
right. He's not the center in this one, was he?
yeah,
No. It's because everybody knows it's going to be redone as Dino King, and the T-Rex that was a part of Dino King was a leg, so Grimlock is a leg.
They're going to switch to where all the leaders are legs. You know, Scrapper.
Well-
They're taking a page out of Devastator's book.
Well, what better quality of a leader than to be the foundation upon which your men can stand?
mhm.
That's right. That's right.
There's
And, you know, an enemy always goes for the chest or the face. Why would you want the leader being up there?
There you
Yeah,
There you go.
Oh, if they
Right.
fight dirty, they'll go for the crotch or the shin. So
Well,
or
I mean,
long haul.
I do remember an episode of Voltron, of the Lion Voltron, and essentially they attacked the blue line, which was the leg, because they knew it was the princess, and they attacked it right in the beginning of the episode, which was rare because most of the fights are always like the last 45 seconds of the episode.
So here is Scorn. He's not a new guy, but he's an obscure guy. In IDW, he was a member of the Dinobots who died really early in their career. They needed an extra combiner limb, so he's the guy in this set.
No, that set is a 5 or 6 Dinobots.
6, because the torso, which I haven't taken apart yet, is slag and sludge kind of fused together.
Because there is that one, I believe another one where it's called Paddles as one of the characters.
Yeah, paddles.
Hey, look who
yeah,
set
knowing
back up.
Yeah. Whoa, that's a fancy setup.
Hey,
yeah, Nelnuff has a
Yeah.
kit to make sludge into paddles.
You got the poster and everything, and you got like what is it? You got like video behind your chair there.
yeah, got some Transformers playing. So this is my first setup. It's my office space, and I was just angled at a different from a different viewpoint. And yeah, I'm trying this out, seeing what works, and this is pretty cool. It works for me right now.
It works.
It's a good set of visuals around you.
Sweet.
Yeah. Here's a Swoop, probably the best one out of these guys. Well, he's an arm, and he's also the least compromised, so that's probably why he's such a good figure. But also, Swoop's a really simple design, so they just shrunk him down and basically didn't change anything.
There you go, Deceptikitty.
What's
Nice.
up? Are you making it unsuck? I say at the comment.
Hey.
I gotta try and figure out how to get this torso into pieces.
Yes, this week's topic.
Blow that one up, Spence, so Deceptikitty can see it.
Oh yeah.
that's-
So we're talking about the Dinobots this week, from
Nice.
G1 to BeastWars to Power of Primes and all the Dinobots in between.
Sick.
I realized something egregious and said I don't know where my Kingdom Dinobot. Oh, there he is! Freaking there we go.
But he's so
looking at the
close you
shelf
can bite
for
your
like
hand
10
off.
minutes, and he was just there staring at me. There, the one named Dinobot, who died for humanity, and then on the 3rd season he rose again.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I've got one of those over there too. I forgot about him.
I was not aware that he came back.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler, I guess, but like, you discover that yourself later by watching the show, which I recommend everybody does. How can
I
you
left
complete
somebody out.
the How can you complete the Christ metaphor without a resurrection? That's just basic storytelling.
There you go.
Superman did it. Probably other Spock did it. So Dinobot has to do it too.
Optimus has done it multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left somebody out.
Rise from
I
your
love the
grave.
Toxitron colors.
Oh yeah, this guy never
Wait,
showed up
wait,
locally.
there's one more.
Otherwise, I would have grabbed one. Because I love the Toxitron colors too, but it never showed up in Canada, at least that I could see.
This is my favorite color.
Oh yeah, Shattered Glass, because they basically just put Trypticon's colors on him.
Yeah, it's a nice color scheme on that one.
Let me just get this guy apart. Tear him into chunks. Oh no, I took his torso off.
I don't have a Studio Series 86 Grimlock, but I did make some articulated hands for him.
Oh.
So I had one in my possession just to test out, and yeah, it worked out really well. I was working on a light up sword, but the problem is to get the sword to stay rigid. If I 3D printed it, it ends up going flopsy.
You got to mix Viagra in with your elements.
With the resin, yeah. Always experimenting.
Grind it
I
up.
do
That
have
reminds
the-
me, speaking of Viagra,
Don't.
That's a heck of a segue.
no, I had a picture of the Combiner Wars Cyclonus with Galvatron's head out in its awkward location with the text, "I still function," which is what Viagra helps with.
I was gonna say, speaking of light up swords, the only masterpiece that I still have is Masterpiece Grimlock because he fits in with the Generations collection pretty well. So this is pretty much the best official Grimlock money can buy that isn't Robosin.
Yes,
Yeah,
and then
there
there's
he is right there.
Oh, that Roberson was getting a lot of bad reviews.
Really, I haven't really paid too much attention to the post-release stuff.
He's really, really, really top heavy in robot form. He tips over a lot.
Yeah. I will say, it does say something about this guy that Robosin literally copied the exact same engineering on it and just blew it up. So they were like, this is already a solved design. We're just going to take this one. Yeah. And there he is with his long legs and his multicolored shins. Ooh. What are we looking at here?
So yeah, I figured I'd share what I'm working on. This is a really tiny transforming warpath. It's kind of like what do you call it? Like a chibi, super deformed.
Oh.
And so this is something I was working on. I challenged myself for another TFCon to make this, but at the time I tried something new to use tiny brass pins to hold the joints together. But that was a real challenge, and it didn't end up working out. So I'm going back to old tried and true ball joints, and yeah, I'm gonna whip something up together. Well, there's a month away from TFCon, so I'll really cram it over here.
It works out.
Yeah, but speaking of which I mean, before I forget that, Deceptikitty, I guess, move to the left of the image that you have on there.
Over here.
Yep. Actually, a bit more.
Oh yeah. Now I see the warpath.
Well, it's funny. I see the warpath, but I also see the exocop from Star Trek.
Oh my god, yeah. That's what it is, 100%.
For all you nerds out there.
Yeah. Just throw in, do it as like a special redeco.
Yeah. So this is actually a Jizai Designs. I really love Jizai toys, and he worked with Fans Project way back in the day for some of the headmasters. And
really?
He often goes to Wonderfest, one of the conventions in Japan, and he sells his 3D printed stuff, but it's actually licensed by Takara for that one day. So it's really
I've
cool
heard
to
about
get that
that.
opportunity.
how like all the third party stuff is legal for exactly 24 hours.
Oh my god.
It's like the Purge, but for third party
I
stuff.
was just about to say that.
So I've contacted him. This is his design that I've copied from his website, and I contacted him about this, and he seems to be okay with it. He has really not much to say about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say he makes all those like CAD models and just shows them off. I presume that you would want people to make them if all you're doing is making the models and just releasing them into the wild.
I've seen a lot of third-party companies start up with some of his designs. Like some of their first Transformers were his designs, but they didn't never ever credited him.
Oh boy. I mean, it's kind of hard to pursue legal action when you're in like a legal gray space like third party. So I guess he just kind of has to let it go.
He seems to be very open with it. Like he's in Japan and he's constricted with some of the laws over there because Takara is right there in Japan. So he can't sell this outside of that WonderCon. So that's the only one day he has the opportunity to sell it. Can't sell it online, can't sell it on eBay. So I think he's just happy that people are taking advantage of his designs.
So it really isn't it just for love of the game, eh? And not there's anything wrong with that. In fact, that's how it should be done, in my opinion.
Totally. I love Josiah. He's so cool.
Yeah.
I have a few more toys from him. I don't want to detract from the Dinobots. We're just getting started here. But here's another.
Warpath was in.
There we go.
I'm going to say Warpath was in Dinobot Island, so I'm claiming it's thematic.
This is a really tiny Target Master.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Who is he compatible with, if anything?
He's compatible with anyone. It's a 5mm port, and as a matter of fact, you could swap out the peg. It's so small I can't get it in focus here. You could swap out the peg for something a little more custom. So I made something specifically for my Masterpiece Bumblebee because he doesn't have a 5mm peg. He has a specific type. I got to transform it to make him look like a gun first. But yeah, that's the
I get the idea.
Quick transfer.
Well, let me quickly show this from SETTOM Bach.
Oh.
Yeah, Galvatronus. That was such a weird figure because he's supposed to be a combiner torso. It just happened to look like that when you pop the head out.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's the one time in the one universe that Cyclonus is like, you know what? I'm not as loyal to the Galvatron as you think I am. This is how I feel about him.
And then he instantly gets turned into a combiner torso.
Damn it! It ends up being like Nappa's ghost in Dragon Ball Bridge. He's like, leave me alone!
So, just before we jump into the main topic, July in Toronto, we've got TFCon, which many of us will be at, including the Deceptikitty, which he will be revealing a video game project that he's been working on, including exclusives, but upcoming in next weekend in Owensboro, Kentucky, is OMG Con, which Mr. Magnus is going to be featured there on the Sunday. And Mr. Magnus, tell us a little bit about it.
So next weekend is going to be the OMG Con. Let's see which one that is. It's in Owensboro, Kentucky. It's a really good. It's a nice anime con. A lot of local vendors, a lot of big city vendors. We have a whole lot of anime voice actors, YouTube guys, Nintendo, and a few others. I'm trying to bring up the webpage so that I can speak, not speaking out of my ass. 2024, here we go. Go to it. Now go to it. There we go. No, I already have my tickets, damn it. Give me the schedule.
There we go.
I just sound like Butthead when you said that.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, but it's 3 days of really, really good time. Lots of food trucks. There's LARPing out on the main lawn. cosplay competition, Magic the Gathering tournaments, video game rooms, panels all day long for 3 days. It's a really good time. And on Sunday from 11:30 to 1, yours truly will be doing a panel on extreme collecting, do's and don'ts, with a question and answer at the end of it. I will have some of the pieces from this collection on display, as well as pieces from my other collections. Magic the Gathering, I'm bringing out an $87,000 9-piece collection that will be on display. It's my Beta Power 9.
Oh boy! Better put that under some glass. Some bulletproof glass.
It's going to be sitting. It's going to be sitting right beside me and Pete. But I'm also bringing my dual land, my revised dual land set, which we put them all together. I've showed them to spin, but this close to it, I don't mind showing it to the rest of everybody.
And also make sure there's hired goons sitting next to you with the
where's our Lottie when we need him?
Hired goons.
So,
oh boy,
this one and this one.
Wow. Nice.
And of course, I do have it.
Nice.
Gem case plus in a shadow box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, might as well make them look nice like that if you got them.
Wow.
And Freakenstein hiding in the comments, say Freakenstein, and he says that's cool.
Now, Bill, is it worth that much right now because it's still in play and it's such a powerful set? What happens to the value
Power 9
of
is
that?
only the Power 9 is only legal in one set, and that is called Vintage. And yes, everybody plays the same deck, so that's the 9 cards that are going to be in it right there.
How do you get all 9? That seems to be crazy rare. Are they all individually rare, or do you find them all together?
You have to remember, Decepticitty, these cards are probably older than you. You look very young. How old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay, these cards were printed in 1993. Okay, I opened them in packs in 1993.
Oh boy! Wow.
That's before I was even aware of. That was even before I was aware of Magic the Gathering. Crazy.
Jeez, people talk about this stuff as investments. I'm like, that legitimately has matured as an investment.
Well, I have a horror story. I have an absolute horror story.
Mm-hmm.
We used it as a drinking game. Of course, back then, nobody put sleeves. You didn't put sleeves on anything that you were playing with. We had our decks, and we had a hair tie around them 2 different directions, had them in our back pocket in case a game popped up sometime between class while we were at college. Let's play a game. All right, you pull it out, you riffle shuffle them, you're beating the hell out of these cards, and you're playing a game. We used it as a drinking game more than anything. We lined up 20 shots, and that was our life total. And every time you took a point of damage, you had to take a shot. And a 3-point lightning bolt to the dome was rough because that's 3 shots back to back. Bam, bam, bam. And just get tore up. But
not to mention all the puke on the cards. Yeah, continue.
Right. But it was brand new. The Black Lotus was worth $25-$30, and nobody played it because nobody played ramp, which is what they're used for. They're used to get more mana quickly, and so nobody played that. So you always, when you pulled one, you're like, yes, 3 more packs, please, and you just turned it right back in. And got 3 more packs. You wanted those dual lands. That's what everybody was going after. And now, Black Lotus, Alpha Black Lotus is $87,000 in any condition.
Damn.
As long as it's playable. And we were selling them for $25 a piece. But whenever I graduated from college, Magic was kind of circling the drain in Louisville. The last two sets were awful. People weren't buying it, and I assumed that the game died. I was graduating college. I wasn't doing this kind of stuff anymore. I put everything in a box, put it in the attic at my dad's house, and went on about my life. Fast forward to 2004. My son comes to me from my parents' house, and he's holding this binder, and he goes, "Daddy, what is this? This looks like Yu-Gi-Oh cards." And I opened it up, and I was like, "Oh, wow." I said, "No, man." I said, "This is Magic." I said, "This is a game that doesn't even exist anymore." I said, "But this is what started all of those card games. Your Yu-Gi-Ohs, your Power Master, and all that stuff. That all started from Magic. This was the first one." And they're like, "Can you teach us?" I said, "Yeah, let's go up to Papaw's and we'll get the rest of them." So we go up in the attic, and I find the box. And I open the box, and it's full of mouse beds where they've gone in there and they've chewed on plastic and they've chewed on cards and they've made beds and they've birthed mice. And I'm not letting my kids play with this shit. I don't look any farther. I fold it back up, take it down, and throw it in the incinerator. And I said, "Well, I'll show you with what we got," because he had my green and white binder, which was my favorite two colors, so it was the fullest one. And so we're showing them how to do this. 2 weeks later, my son comes in and he goes, "Daddy, look at this. This is a brand new Magic card. They still play Magic the Gathering. Look at this. My friend Jacob gave me this card." Like that. And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I went online and I typed in Magic the Gathering. And I almost shit myself because I just burned no less than a full play set of Power 9.
Whoa.
Like on fire?
Yeah, I put that box in the incinerator because it had mouse turds and stuff in it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many copies of Alpha and Beta dual lands were in there. I don't know what survived, and that's what I have to tell myself. Otherwise, I go crazy because we're talking of a few $100,000 worth of cards that I just went burn this.
But that's fair though. Like mouse feces, that's really toxic. That's really it's not playable. So any scenario,
it is still very playable. If that card has not swelled up enough that you can tell that it is a different card from the rest of the deck, it's still an $87,000 card. That one card, I burned 4 of them and all of its companions.
Oh man, the things we do.
You know what? The buildup of this story sounds like that should be a movie.
Drama.
Oh, trust me, I was moved for a few days after that. I was just like, "No, why?"
It's an Asian comedian where he goes, "Emotional damage."
Emotional damage.
So as we slowly get on topic, welcome back, Toy Warp.
Per usual.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
That was 3 weeks of hell.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you just have the flu, or?
It started with just a head cold, and it was just this post-nasal drip that ended up in my lungs for the next 3 days after that, and then I got bronchitis. And then bronchitis lasts anywhere between 12 and 14 days. Mine lasted 16.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
And on top, I was having to work on top of it in the heat and everything. And oh man, yeah, I couldn't get a word. That's why I haven't been on, because I couldn't get a word out without hacking my brains out.
Dude, and you did that convention?
Oh yeah, I still did the vending thing, coughing and hacking and sucking down cough drops all day. Yeah.
Crazy. You had a huge display. That was awesome.
She's like, "This box is my merchandise. This box is entirely Hall's."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a little weird because I'd never been a vendor at a vintage toy show before. I couldn't believe how business oriented the vendors were, and no passion, like whatsoever, like no passion for the stuff they had. It just, moving in, out that quick. Just, I mean, wow. I can't, I don't think I could do it again, honestly.
Wow.
I always have fun when I do it, but best I can say is maybe once the crowd starts crushing in, you get kind of business-like because there's a lot going on, but, I'm not there not having passion for it.
Well, I had, I was trying to sell off a bunch of my large Tonka stuff, right? And of course, everybody remembers it. I shouldn't have brought it there to sell it. I should have brought it there to charge admission to my booth, because everybody would crowd around the booth for a while, on their way through, be like, "Oh, I remember that. I had that. My uncle had that," and blah 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 blah. And then they move on, like not even asking how much it was or anything. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I should have just charged admission to my booth.
For an extra $1, you can poke it.
Yeah.
And
For an extra $1, you can get on the floor.
What you do is you charge to have pictures taking holding it.
Yeah, not a bad idea, actually.
Lie to your friends online. Be like, I totally own this.
Look what I just bought at this toy show. It was really good, though. I mean, with you guys going to TFCon and having the signage up, I think I picked up around 20, 25 subscribers just from having my sign up at the place, though.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a really good idea.
Definitely.
All about grassroots marketing 101. It's sometimes the things that get overlooked are the things that attract the subscribers. And those who are watching right now and watching later, please subscribe and like the video. And Charlie C says, "Are we still talking about Magnus's deck?" Which Freakenstein laughs about it. And Freakenstein says, "Me, Grimlock, say get on with Dinobots."
Look, here's one.
Me, Grimlock, know all about wipers.
Talking about my children. Talk about my dino children.
There's a really fun tradition at TFCon every year. Goober somehow storms some panel or script reading as impersonating Grimlock looking for a cheeseburger. So that's something I'm always looking forward to every year at TFCon.
Gotta look forward to that one. Goober is cool. Goober is very cool.
I love seeing everyone at TFCon. That's the big part about it.
And I mean, tying in with what Toywork just said in terms of the vendors. I know in one of the chats where a bunch of guys are in the vendors, you can see that kind of either the love for the franchise or they're just there for the business end of it. Where it's like, here's some figures that I love that I may sell or I'm looking for something. And then there's the other handful of like, yeah, there's this toy. How much do you want? I just want to sell it or make money off of it. No connection to it whatsoever. As we get onto the Dinobots with our first one that we were introduced to back when we were children for some of us is Grimlock, the mighty Grimlock, leader of the Dinobots.
This is Jess's favorite and also the one most people know.
Now, what's really interesting is, when, oh, God, it's been a long time now, but I got in an argument online, imagine that. I argued that, Season 3 wasn't as good as Season 1, Season 2, because they kind of lost the whole robots in the skies bit. And they're like, well, that happened, 3/4 of the way through Season 1 when they introduced Dinobots. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Well, yeah, how many Dinobots do you see? How many dinosaurs do you see around that they could blend in with? Like, no. Cosmos was also a freaking UFO, and I don't think any of us have ever really seen a UFO. So, but yeah, that is weird that some fans hold that idea that that was like the end of robots in disguise. The whole that whole idea of being with the Dinobots.
Didn't they kind of live in a shed until they were needed for like all of Season 1 and 2? It's time to open the garage door and call them out.
Essentially, they were put back into the cave, because Optimus was saying like we should never activate the Dinobots ever again.
Yeah. It was that happened in Marvel also. Like they introduced the Dinobots really early, like issue 5 or 6 or something, and then they just don't appear for a very long time. But when they finally do a billion issues later, the explanation is just because they're like, well, you guys are too conspicuous, so we never let you out.
Yeah, Freaking Sign quickly says I have 2 cons to go to before TFCon Toronto, and one I was to speak at. Cool. With the Dinobots, I know it's the concept of them being just these monstrous figures, and Grimlock being the original, and let's see, Sludge and Snarl with the first 3 that were designed. Wheeljack, Ratchet, and Spike and Sparkplug had helped out on it. Grimlock's motto: among the winners, there is no room for the weak, and having the strength of 10 and intelligence of 7.
Yeah, interesting thing too. Like, I'm just gonna mention Marvel again. He wasn't a dumb brute. Initially, he even talked normally, but he started assuming a caveman dialect because of his distaste for the intellectual members of the Autobots. So he talked like that, but he was of normal intelligence. He was just a warrior who preferred to do things he was a Klingon basically.
Yeah, like a Klingon.
Yeah.
One thing I never understood, I guess in terms of their strength, in them being weaker in their robot mode compared to their dinosaur mode, with the Decepticons did exploit that in one of the episodes.
Did they? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's essentially the I believe it's the the episode where they were having issues with Cybertronium. As soon as the Dinobots transformed into robot mode, that's when they attacked the hangar and almost essentially destroyed them, because they're weaker as robots than in their dinosaur mode. At that point, the Dinobots didn't want anything else to do with the Autobots.
Isn't that the one where they ended up working in the Cybertronium pits and they had something on them that didn't allow them to transform?
Yep.
So they definitely want to keep them in their robot mode.
Cybertronium.
Oh yeah, there it is. I got one of those cubes too.
Nice.
So that's something, again, I'm planning on bringing to TFCon. These I made for 2019 TFCon. I actually labeled them so I could remember. And that was a fun part about making these things specifically for that year. It brings back memories. So yeah, same thing I'll do this year, but with different stuff.
Cool. Now, before we move on to any other Dinobots, what can we say about Grimlock in terms of the different franchises that he's existed, including the Bayverse?
Well, here's 2 of them. There's BeastWars Grimlock and Age of Extinction Grimlock right here. BeastWars Grimlock, they just made him up for the toy line, but he did work his way into some comics. And according to his tech specs, he was the original. Yeah, he was the original.
But everybody else is like,
"Oh my god,
it's Doug Grimlock!" Run! Yeah, I was about ready to try to find that page or 2 because it's pretty awesome.
There's, of course, the Bayverse one here. They were not handled well, but at least it was a set of really cool designs. So I still have this version of them because I think it looks nice. Got a little Optimus here to ride him. This guy stays on my top shelf.
Dino Rider.
You want to talk about an expensive toy line?
Yeah.
Okay, this is it.
Hi, my name's Wheeljack. I make stupid robots.
Yeah.
That whole Dr. Smooth bit.
Oh, God.
I remember back in when I watched Generation 2 when it was on TV and I was really little, I thought as a little kid the reason that the Dinobots weren't smart is because they were built on Earth away from Cybertron and were basically knockoffs. That's not actually what it was, but as a little kid, for some reason, that's what I thought. It's like a really specific memory.
Make them as real as possible, so they gave them small brains.
Yeah.
Just like real dinosaurs.
Yeah. And that makes so much sense.
But that was the interesting thing at the time. I think it's like the educational thing, and kids were into like dinosaurs and knowing about their peanut-sized brains.
Mhm.
Even Sparkplug's like, oh, these dinosaurs have tiny brains.
Which really, when you watch the interaction between Wheeljack and Ratchet, like they kind of make fun of a lot of things, including the episode with what's her name, not Nightbird.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just howling and just making fun of her all sorts. So there's all those little jokes in there. The one thing I don't think anyone's ever answered, or has ever questioned, how come the Dinobots could fly?
Yeah. I guess because it's cool.
Because they're dynamite.
Actually, I have an explanation. In that history I have that I pulled off the internet, like in the 90s, the explanation of all the extra characters coming in to play in season 2, the Autobots found in the Ark, in a like a what was before a sealed off because of rock Ark. After they found the Dinobots, they found all the season 2 characters, and as they're bringing them back, they used the technology of the Decepticons to integrate into the Dinobots. The Decepticons' ability to fly. They integrated that into the Dinobots.
Dig it.
Yeah.
That's the explanation I got.
I was gonna say a lot of continuities play the Dinobots as like not necessarily having always been Autobots, even though they eventually side with them. So that would work as an explanation for why they could fly, because they were at one point a bit more Decepticon allied.
One that I like is that if you go by episode 1, Autobots did fly.
True.
Yeah, you just kind of have to cough loudly over
Ironhide
that.
and Blue Streak, everything flew after the Decepticons. What I was always told was that it was because the Autobots don't have enough energy, whereas the Decepticons don't care. They're going to burn all their energy to do whatever they want to do. And if we need more energy, we're going to blow up a tanker and make some more. Right. The Autobots are on reserve, and so they're not going to waste energy to fly. But the Dinobots were built on Earth with Earth power. So their reserves come from the power that we have here on Earth. And then be it solar, be it just plug them in and recharge them. Whatever. They were built here, so they don't have the same power cores that the other ones have. So they're not restricted as to, we have to have energon to be able to fly. No, we don't. We have our own energy reserves.
Yeah, being solar powered. I remember the episode where they introduced Swoop and Snarl. When they introduced, and they were explaining how Swoop and Snarl's Swoop's wings and then Snarl's back, Stegosaurus hoochwatzers, collected solar energy.
Right.
So there's some validity to that. Yeah. Validity.
Hey, I liked the Hoozerwatzers. His Stegosaurus Hoozerwatzers.
Yeah, I sent the cover and the pages that show Grimlock and Magnetron's fight on your Discord DM.
Yeah, and I just got them transformed here too. So I guess if you've bought Magnetron and you have Kingdom Grimlock, you can get them to fight. Yeah, you get them to fight based on that cover. So I guess there is a reason why they made a Commander Magnetron as a companion piece to this guy. Yeah, this story was published like way later, like in the late 2000s, so it wasn't like contemporaneous with BeastWars. Furman did this too. They brought him back for this. Yeah, The idea was just that like this other group of characters arrived on Earth at the same time, but they were like out of phase temporarily, so conveniently the BeastWars guys couldn't see them, so they were doing all this stuff behind the scenes while the show was happening. You know, the kind of story you write later on when you want other people there, but you can't change the show's canon. So it's like, oh, they were literally off camera the whole time. You just couldn't see them.
Right. Cool.
And one of them was G1 Grimlock.
Too, going back to the intelligence thing, and in the Fall of Cybertron High Moon games, when they introduced Dinobots, they had actually been experimented on by Shockwave, kind of like in the comics. But Grimlock was walking around trying to figure out where he was and what to do next. And even he was like hard to think. And the more angry he got, the harder it was for him to like put together words in his head. And that's how you unlocked his dino form in the game, was you got him mad enough to where he could transform into the T-Rex.
Oh yeah, right.
Which was a total blast. I mean, oh my god, if you guys haven't played that as Grimlock, holy crap, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't he basically go Godzilla mode, just starts like shooting fireballs out of his mouth in it?
He can shoot fire out of his mouth like he did in the cartoon, but like it's his brute strength. Like he can literally, like as he's shooting the flames out of his mouth, grab like 2 Insecticons and throw it into a horde of other Decepticons and just destroy them all. It's such a blast.
Nice.
That was the best freaking Transformers game ever. Everyone says it's devastation. Bitch, please.
This guy. Brontosauruses are my favorite dinosaur, so I always liked Sludge because of that, purely for that reason.
This guy, who we call Sludge, his motto is stomp your enemy, crush him under your feet, with a strength of 9 and intelligence of 3.
Sounds like almost like Conan the Barbarian.
Interesting, they'd made Grimlock, according to cartoon lore, they'd make Grimlock so smart, and then, Sludge so stupid.
Yeah, that's his thing. It's just he's not bright. That's his like main character trait. Yeah, when the whole Volcanicus set I've been messing around with. When I wrote the reviews of them over on childrenofprimus.com/news and reviews, shameless plug. I talked about like each of them and tried to like figure out what they'd done in their stories they've been in and what their differentiators were, and I'm like, the only difference that Sludge has is that he's supposed to be like not very bright. And in the Marvel UK comics, he was enamored with a lady reporter for a little while, and that's about all he's done in anything.
But was he a little brighter in Cyberverse at least?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I'd watched that when I was writing that at the time.
Because I kind of remember them being smart enough that they kind of like were like junior. They became Dinobots. They were inspired by Grimlock to become Dinobots. They like saw his time capsule from his dinosaur buddies, his literal dinosaur buddies, and they basically would be like, "Sim played Grimlock."
Yeah, that was what they were doing.
So they're like almost like children.
Childrenofprimus.com. Anthony, I think you got a shout out to make.
Oh, I need to see. Yeah, there we go. Shout out to Jeremy Norman, who I influenced your buying habits by making you both get gears and the Black Suit Spider-Man to go with him. But it's always nice to know that people are reading my things, and I'm glad that you enjoy my content. There's a new one coming on Friday. Oh, it's amazing. I'm touched. I just kind of I write the stuff because it's stuff that I want to read, and I just kind of fling it into the void. So it's always nice when somebody else reads it and has opinions.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, where is he here?
And it's very cool from the Transformers Generation 1 and G1 Facebook group. So it was a definite shout out to Jeremy Norman for complimenting Mr. Farrah Courage on his amazing write-up of Legacy Gears.
Yeah. Yeah, the sound of the summer, apparently. Where's Spider-Man? Here he is. Yeah, these two.
Yeah.
This is a really good line of Marvel action figures, by the way. If you get them at Walmart, they're like 10 Canadian dollars, like before tax, and they're like hella posable. So really a good companion piece for something like this, and it won't cost you much money. Yeah. But, you know, if anybody hasn't read that, read it for more of my opinions. For more of my rambling in text form with the occasional funny picture.
Cool. Now, what more can we say about Sludge before we move on to the other Dinobots?
His little core class toy doesn't have any articulation at all, but I don't mind because he's adorable. So you just sweep him around and be like, doo, 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 doo.
It was Sludge that saved Spike a few times on Dinobot Island, and it was almost like in that episode they were going to make him kind of like the ambassador to the kids from the Dinobots, not overall, because that's Bumblebee and you can't replace that. But yeah, in that episode, it seemed like him and Spike bonded a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense because he's a brontosaurus, and I think it's the most docile out of all of the Dinobots' dinosaur forms. So I could see it being thematic that he is the friendly one.
I was born on the day Dinobot Island aired on TV.
No
Well,
kidding.
that's somewhat important, and yet you didn't spec into being a dinosaur guy, strangely enough.
There was a kid in my school growing up in Toronto, and he was such a dinosaur fanatic, and there was no comparing to this kid. So he was the dinosaur kid, and I let him have that.
So you were like, why even try out giving this guy the scaly crown and then feathered crown now, but
We would play dinosaurs.
His stomp also did the same thing. It could cancel out like Rumble and Frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
important power scaling.
Now we go over to Slag, which I believe...
and his name is Slag. It's not Slug.
He's not a British prostitute.
Exactly.
I always found
is that what slag means?
Yeah, that's why they don't want to put that on the box in the United Kingdom.
They don't want to put it on the box here anymore. They have officially changed his name to Slug.
Yeah. I always thought it was weird that like it had been before. It caused a big kerfluffle when the Studio Series toy came out, but they'd already been using that name for like quite a few years at that point for him. So it wasn't anything new. Also, it's yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's what it says on the box. But like, we all know who he is. It's not worth getting mad about, I think.
And I don't hear him changing the names of their cigarettes to not offend us. So you know.
I will say, like, the BeastWars writers weren't super up on Generation 1 at the start of the show. So remember, they decided to make the word slag their F word substitute for all the cursing in BeastWars. Like,
they did it in G1 too, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes Slag's name really funny. Because like they get really creative with it in BeastWars. Like, we have our fake swear word. Let's use it frequently. Let's conjugate it. You know,
slaggity slag slag.
Yeah,
these slaggers.
So like, is his name a curse word, or did he do something to make the Cybertronian race dislike him so much that 300 years later his name is a curse word?
Well, he is the most bristly of all the Dinobots.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, in IDW, he becomes their leader because Grimlock is MIA for a very long time. By MIA, he's over doing stuff in Lost Light instead. But and so he has to sort of temper himself a bit once he steps up to that role.
I kind of vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Well, Slag is with his motto saying, "I have no need for friends, even less for enemies, with the strength of 9 and intelligence of 4.
Oh boy.
I mean, maybe he's saying that because they named him Slag.
Yeah.
that kind of fits the motif there.
Yeah. Here's his little guy.
Until Snarl come along, I think he probably had the most firepower.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of him as being the one with the flamethrower, even though all of them could technically do that, including Grimlock. It always felt more like his thing specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his was his. Maybe his burned hotter.
Well, yeah, I do like how what they wrote for their dialogue and in the original series is just really, it's almost cute and funny. Just the sentences that they would formulate in terms of like let's like we will dynamite them and stuff like that.
Sligo's always seemed to be the most hot-headed one.
Yeah, like that was his singular character trait, was his aggression.
Well, let's move over to.
Before that, we just have to mention that it was voiced by Neil Ross, which is he's an awesome voice actor, and he's always a great guest at conventions.
Lovely. Look at this picture of this guy. I don't know why. He's like his face. He's just like, he looks like he doesn't want to be here.
That's the real reason he wasn't in the '86 movie that much. He's like, know what? F this. I'm going home. And going home is Earth for me because I was built here. You guys can go on to Cybertron.
There's a really odd story that they wrote later on in Marvel UK to explain why he wasn't in the movie. Because, the movie's canon to those comics as well. And it was, he caught a rusting disease. It wasn't cosmic rust. It was called something else, but it was functionally the same thing. And so they took him back to the Savage Land, which is this place where there are dinosaurs. So like Dinobot Island, but not really. A lot of this stuff with Marvel. And they were like, okay, well, there's a control crystal here that on our crash ship that we can use to take his mind out of his body until we can fix his body or find him a new one. And something goes wrong, and they basically decide that they're going to put him inside a real Stegosaurus, and just they have to leave him there until they can find a new body for him. So he's not in the movie because he got a deadly disease, and his mind is temporarily in a real dinosaur off on not Dinobot Island while they try and get a cure for him, and that's why he's not in the movie.
That is wild.
Yeah, it is a wild story.
I guess we're just supposed to forget about those couple of shots where he's there and just like cough loudly over them.
I just sent a picture to Spin on why he's not there on Messenger. I thought that's why you were laughing.
No, the storyline is crazy. But let me go in and find that picture.
Maybe he was hanging out with that Stegosaurus from BeastWars Neo that was a Native American Stegosaurus.
What was his name? Sling, I think?
He literally looks like he has a Native American headdress on. Maybe he was hitting a tobacco pipe with him down in Savage Land.
Oh, yes, I remember this one.
Dinobot, destroy, Devastator!
But Snarl not.
Would you just do as I say for once?
Let's look like he missed.
You notice there's Decepticon symbols on the toilet paper?
I think I got him coming in the mail on Tuesday. Runabout's coming in Monday, tomorrow, and Snarl on Tuesday.
I'm just imagining, like, yeah, he did just miss the shuttle drop, and that's why he's not there.
Yeah.
He missed the shuttle drop while dropping some
shuttles of his own.
Some brown spaceships.
Well, let's go over to Swoop.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Dinobot.
He's also my favorite Dinobot.
Swoop, don't see knocking.
So, I always hear that he's the hardest of these guys to get a G1 figure of because his head is prone to breakage or something. Yeah, maybe you can fill us in.
His wings were super fragile.
Yeah. And on top of that, with them being chrome, kids handling them over the years just wore the chrome off of them too. So it's really hard to find one with them intact and the chrome good.
Yeah, I like that Beast Wars type problem goes back to the 80s. Why do
I
you
didn't
ever
realize
chrome
until
anything?
years later that the head on the clear part of Swooped hinge joint had cracked, and the old owner tried to super glue it back together. I didn't notice for like 15 years.
Wow.
I guess he did a good job super gluing it
You
then.
did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had to do that with my old G2 blue Grimlock. His head joint, his dinosaur head joint, I had to glue back together.
On G2 Grimlock?
Yeah, the blue one.
Yeah. Me too. I had my first Dinobot was actually G2 Snarl, and I also had to glue his front arm back together because you had to use it was like a spring-loaded mechanism where it pops back in, and I think at one point I bent it too hard and that broke. And then at some point I also got a G2 Snarl, and that also broke. Maybe it's something to do with G2 plastic.
Hey, what color were all these G2 guys? Because they put each of them out in 3 different color schemes. So I'm curious which ones you had.
I had the red Snarl. Apparently that's rare.
Yeah, didn't both Snarl and Slag, they had the red and green. They both had red and green, and then Grimlock had a blue and then the toy course, I believe.
Yeah, 2 different shades of blue. They also did do gray versions of them at first, but those are like actually the rarest ones because the color variants were more common. So which Grimlock did you have?
I didn't have a Grimlock. I had a green Slag and a red Snarl.
Yeah, all right.
We have
The Grimlock I've got in the case there, that's the Fall of Cybertron Grimlock. As a matter of fact, he's got a slider button on his back where he lights up inside of his jaws, his eyes, and his mouth. It looks really fucking great.
You have a non-G1 figure there.
I do, yeah, I know. That's about my only non-G1.
Yeah. Oh, you're there after just talking about how it was like the greatest thing.
That's how much I really enjoyed that game. Is I've got him not only in the case with the G1 Dinobots, but in the place of G1 Grimlock. I don't know if you can see the G1 Grimlock in the back there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I actually like the Fall of Cybertron Grimlock better.
Yeah, I got the RID 2015 retool and redeco of that same Grimlock.
Oh, really?
They got the electronics on it, so you were able to add more pieces to it, so it would be less hollow than that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Magnus, I noticed you're missing Swoop over there. Is there any particular reason for that?
Where?
I mean, 86 Studio 86 Swoop.
He hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't. Oh, I thought some people had their hands on it. No.
I thought
Prime versus Prime doesn't count.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair.
Okay.
I get confused, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean the usual
that
leakers
second
have
row of Dinobots, those are the original G1s.
them. Oh, nice, and they're all intact too. Yeah,
Yep.
one of my
I have all their weapons in a bag over here, and the first row, that's the War in Your Pocket. Third row is Studio Series, boxed Studio Series, and then that's the Combiners Wars up on top of the boxes.
Was War in a Pocket their Dreamwave designs?
Yes. They're almost the same size as the G1s. So they're not tiny.
but they're moderately sized.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a grail of mine is a blue G2 Grimlock, just because I think it looks neat. I don't have any G1 Dinobots. I'm kind of they might do the Studio Series one in blue. Some of those legacy listings mentioned a leader class G2 Grimlock, so that might still be in the cards. But I never got that lovely Toxitron one because it never showed up here. So I'm still in the market for a G2 Grimlock of some kind.
Yeah, is it Reaction that makes those 5-point articulation figures?
Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah, they had the blue Grimlock in their line as the T-Rex.
Yeah. One little interesting thing about Swoop, again, all the interesting things about them are in the comics. He used to be named Dive Bomb on Cybertron, and the Predacon Dive Bomb beat him in aerial combat and got his name as his reward, so he had to change his name to Swoop.
That's interesting.
I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, it was a Marvel UK story. It was they changed it after the fact because like when the Dinobots were like new figures, they did a story about them on Cybertron, and they mentioned that he used to be called Dive Bomb, and then incidentally, a year later, Hashtag put out the Predacon Dive Bomb. So they wrote a story where they wrote the story where like Swoop was out for revenge because the guy that took my name back in the day is here. I got to go get him.
Awesome.
He was voiced by Michael Bell. I think his biggest episode was the episode where he was leading Spike and Carly around Cybertron.
Yeah. I always think about the bit where it's like heat-seeking missiles never give up.
Good thing I don't have a stomach.
It's one of those. I sometimes like I watch these. That was a G2 rerun I watched when I was really little, and sometimes specific scenes and specific bits of dialogue just stay with you for a long time, even if there's nothing specifically important about them, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that that you guys make all the jokes. Swoops has grown on me as being the favorite, and at times I almost swore that he was the smartest of the Dinobots for the fact of multiple situations. Swoop's the one that kind of saves everyone, where he's the one that's teamed up with it, Spike and Carly. He's the one in the movie that's like, don't see nothing, and there's like another instance. It's always Swoop out of all the Dinobots that kind of saves the situation.
Yeah,
he was also the most fragile of the Dinobots too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Out of all the little core class guys, when I reviewed them all, he turned out to be the best of the set. So even if you don't want to complete the combiner or get all the Dinobots, this one on his own is worth a pickup if you like Swoop just as a tiny little transforming version of him. Because like I said, Swoop's design is really simple, so they basically just scaled him down and didn't change much. So yeah, if you want one of these mini Dinobots, this is the one to get, I think. And
I considered just buying what's his name, this Scar, and painting him up in BeastWars Neo Bazooka colors.
Yeah.
So orange with like a bright greenish color. Because he's sort of like a Dinobot type character in terms of morality, despite being a Predacon, well, Destron.
Now, before we step away from Swoop, I don't recall if I had mentioned his tech spec of strength of 6 and intelligence of 6, but his motto is fear can hit targets unreachable to bullets.
Oh, that's an evil sounding motto,
right?
Like, is it a word of caution, or is he the one to fear?
Right.
Who knows? Well, it's
What's that Walter White quote? I am the danger.
Oh yeah, there we go. The BeastWars guy in his Earth Wars design, which was quite a variant.
So as we step away from G1 and go over to BeastWars,
yeah, here he is.
and within BeastWars, of my two characters that I really enjoyed, Dinobot being one of them. The only thing that I remember at the time watching it is like I didn't understand why they just called him Dinobot when it's like I grew up with Dinobots. But his character arc and development in the series, I was really impressed with.
With. It's one of the reasons that the show. One of the reasons the show has longevity is because he had this whole big long character arc that was really interesting.
Actually, I'm going back and thinking about it now. Obviously, they're not going to show anybody die in G1. Would his death be the first on-screen?
Not counting the movie.
Yeah, kind of the movie, but on TV, it's the first TV death of a Transformer on screen.
Jetfire?
Well, they brought Jetfire back. Skyfire.
Yes.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in America, there wasn't any death until Beast Wars. In Japan, some of the animes were allowed to kill characters, but in the U.S., technically, he was slightly beaten by Pterosaur and Scorponok, who I remember you said you didn't actually notice their death because it was so quick. Season 2 premiere, they took a bath in lava.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they were the first on-screen deaths in stateside, at least. But you know, they didn't linger on them, and this was the first one where they gave it like weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
They did bring him back though.
yeah, like I said, what's the Christ figure without the resurrection?
Yeah, wasn't there an episode where that was canceled where Riot Track was supposed to restore the original Dinobots memories to the clone, and there was parts of it leftovers that left into final season. So when he does finally kind of turn, but because he canceled that episode, it was sort of like, oh, okay, clone Dinobots being like the original Dinobot now.
Yeah, it's called Dark Glass, and I think about it a lot. It's one of those well-known unproduced episodes. And RJ Eagle, close, but Ravage died like a few episodes later at the end of the season. Dinobot was around the middle of the season.
Oh yeah, that
Jeez, we're just dropping spoilers left and right. Everybody watch the show, please.
Yeah, totally.
Speaking of Ravage, you do bring him back into those BeastWars Gathering comics.
Yeah.
Magnetron revives them.
Yeah, everybody comes back in the comics because it's comics. Yeah, it was interesting watching. I'm sort of thinking, I'm kind of, on one hand, I sort of was disappointed that he wasn't.
Scroll down. It's got individual pictures of them.
Oh, there we go. At one point, I was a bit disappointed that he wasn't in Rise of the Beasts, but then I remembered how he'd been handled in Kingdom, where he, you know, that show's only 6 episodes, and he gets killed like 3 episodes in, and they try to play it like it's a big thing, but he doesn't have a season and a half of character development, so it's kind of weightless. And I'm like, it's probably better he wasn't in Rise of the Beast, because I think they're like, oh, he's known for dying, so he'd have like an hour worth of screen time and then get killed if he was in the film, probably. So maybe it's best they didn't try to speed run his character arc.
Yeah, I mean, if the Beast War characters would have been in the series since, like, you know, Siege or at least Earthrise.
Yeah.
I mean, it maybe could work, but
Anyway, the point is, Dinobot did a lot of other things other than get killed. He was a faction swapper with a sense of honor. Yeah. Cliff Jumper, too. And he was one of Scott McNeil's 4 major roles on that show, because apparently they just have one guy that could just do everything.
It's occurred to me. I'm sure there's fan art somewhere of quote-unquote Green Mario and Red Bumblebee, for a mistaking for other colored variant of a other character support group.
I'm really mad
Luigi,
now
Cliff
that
Jumper.
I'm really mad now.
Just
what,
now?
God dang it! The voice actor you just mentioned. I'm thinking Neil Ross, but it's
Scott McNeil.
Scott McNeil, thank you.
Yeah.
Met him at TFCon 2010, and went to they had the panel and they didn't have a separate panel for the separate voice actors. They just had everybody up there, and man, he was really tearing into these voices that he does, and he's really, you know, hamming it up and having dialogue with Peter Cullen and Paul Lighting that were there. But he really like dominated the whole thing, and I really wish at that point in time I had watched Beast Wars, knowing what I know about Beast Wars now, and seeing him perform, because I was just sitting there like, who is this guy? You know,
he is all your favorite characters if you were a '90s kid, basically.
Yeah, I'm just mad now that I wasn't able to enjoy hearing him perform like I probably would enjoy hearing it now, knowing the characters and everything.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, better late than never. Folks, it's never too late to watch Beast Wars. In fact, when the stream is done, you could go do that right now.
And then after you watch Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo on YouTube.
Yeah, it's legal because they have not been officially released over here.
And after you do all that, remember to subscribe to all of our channels and like the videos. And before I get to RJ Eagle's comment, hey RJ, Mr. Magnus shows the Dinobots you have on the screen. What can you say about them?
That's the War in Your Pocket ones. That's the first ones that are in my display. They were really, really well put together. They are 100% plastic, but they didn't feel fragile in hand. They've got weight to them. Wasn't a whole lot of spacing in it. Not a lot of dead area in them. Good articulation. Very posable figures. They got ankles, wrists. And it was a really, really cheap set. I don't think it was like $70. I think it's sold out now. But if you scroll back up, I think it was like $60 or $70.
$79.99.
Yep.
I mean, for a pack of 5 figures, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Right, and it's in one box, and
Yeah.
the box is about the size of a boot box.
Like I mean, some third-party figures, that's how much you pay for one minifigure. This is like 5 of them.
Right, but these don't combine or anything. They are just the Dinobots.
Yeah, combining is just a bonus.
Cool.
Yeah, I was really happy with them. This was actually my first third-party purchase.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well, when I got back into collecting, I was on. I almost said Children of the Primus, not Children of the Primus. Transformers Liberated, and I met a guy over there. His name was Chris. Not the one that has come on here, not the admin. I can't think of what Chris's last name is. He's not on there much anymore. But me and him talked a lot, and I was telling him about the collection that I had, and he was introducing me to some of these third-party pieces. And I said, we were talking about Dinobots, and I said, the only thing I really didn't like about my Dinobots that I had, my G1s, were that they didn't have the articulation that these new ones did, and I hope that they come out with one. And he was like, he pointed me at this, and he was like, you need to just order this set right here. He said they're real close to the same size as the G1s. They're just a little bit smaller, and they have all the articulation you'll ever want on them. It's a really good set. And so I bought it, took a bite, and yeah, I was really happy with them. If you're a Dinobot fan, best $80 you could spend.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, could I find these at TFCon this year? They have a lot of good third-party stuff there. Maybe they'll be there in a box.
Speaking of TFCon, I don't think it's coming to Orlando this year.
Oh no,
Really?
Nothing has been mentioned on the site, or no one in any of the groups or anything has heard anything about it coming to Orlando. So I don't know if it's dead, or I did hear somebody say at the when I went to the toy show that they only do certain cities like every other year sometimes.
Oh,
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't even know anything about TFCon until you guys started talking about it. I was always a BotCon guy.
Well, my assumption is that like the bot cons of yore, that they pick a different city every year because that's what they used to do. That it's like a traveling show instead of one with a persistent home.
okay.
At least the American version. Canadian version's always in the same place, but
Yeah. But the TFCon's also been all over the place in the States. Only a couple of times has it been in the same place.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that that's the case. Just that's what I would assume, because that's how previous American Transformers conventions have worked. Where they rotate.
Like I'm pretty sure if they found a good spot that they could just do every year, then they would like, stick with Florida or something like that. But I just think a venue's a venue, and they haven't landed a sweet spot yet like they have here in Mississauga. Because at the time we were going to a different hotel. It was the Hilton DoubleTree. Then we moved to the Hilton Meadowvale, and one of the staff at TFCon was actually staff at the hotel. And it was a very welcoming and open scenario. And they kept going with that.
Yeah, I think you guys mentioned knowing somebody that is a showrunner for TFCon. Maybe you could ask him when the heck they're going to come back to Orlando so I can spend my life savings again. I've literally been saving all year to go to TFCon. I mean, not that it's expensive to get in or anything. No, it's expensive to buy G1 stuff, and that was like the one time this year I was going to go and spend an obscene amount of money. Was going to be that, but apparently it's just not coming. So yeah, maybe you could figure that out for me.
Yeah, for sure. Those kind of items you have to get in early bird. You have to get in before anyone else gets in the dealer room because those people are eyeing those things out, picking those things up. Those G1 collectors.
Well, Mr. Colin is in charge of the TFCon, which if anyone watching our channel scrolls through, we did have an interview with him during our live stream at TFCon 2 years ago. And it was funny because he was we just kind of went and did our thing and started live streaming, and he came over and just kind of looking suspicious on what are you guys doing and stuff. And Mr. Alati's like, you want to just jump on the live stream and join us? And he was a pleasure he just sat down, talked about the story of TFCon and everything, and it was cool. So, we could try to reach out to him and ask him, what the story is for the Orlando one.
Yeah. It's true. I'm seeing the LA one and the Baltimore one, which both already happened, and no other American ones when I specifically look up USA conventions for TFCon.
Well, RJ Eagle does have a question, which he corrected after. So he's saying, do you guys prefer an unintelligent Dinobot or a sensible Dinobot from BeastWars, or a tyrannical, arrogant Dinobot from the Marvel Comics?
I think it depends on the medium. I like the unintelligent cartoon Dinobots in animation, but I think when it's in a comic, I like the versions where they're brutes of normal intelligence, because I think that's more interesting for comics than it is for a show, and vice versa.
Yeah, I agree. Like Grimlock in the old Marvel comics was a great character, and totally didn't expect to read that after seeing him in the cartoon on TV. Almost two different characters.
Yeah, I think that the sort of Neanderthal-brained ones work for animation because they can be funny, but I think that would drag in comic form. So I like that they've usually been segmented pretty much between the ones in animation are like that and the ones in writing are like that.
Cool. Cinema has just shared an image with variations of
major Dinobots.
So we've gone through the Generation 1 Dinobots, the earlier series of the BeastWars Dinobot, and then there's BeastWars Dinobot 2. And
there's Beast Machine Dinobots.
Yeah, there is. I'm surprised they're not listed there.
I just sent the link of on them, actually.
Oh, but those are just the major ones. The way the wiki organizes it, they do the pictures for the important ones. Then you go down and they have a more full list of like all of them.
Yeah, I sent the link just now in the chat for the Beast Machines. There's like a picture of all of them, and then it, you scroll down, there'll be the general discussion of the group, and then on short there's something where it shows the different toys or something for them. But yeah, I just linked it in the chat, their page.
Yeah, Sarah, I remember the Beast Machines Dinobots were something a lot of people like myself were after in 2000, 2001, because they were a bunch of Japanese figures that hadn't been released in the US. And this being like back then, it was kind of hard for people to grab Japanese figures, so they just grabbed a bunch of BeastWars Neos guys, put them in new color schemes, released them over here, and everybody was after them specifically for that reason.
Like seeing those toys at one of the, I would say probably the main shop I get secondary aftermarket Transformers at, and even some new stuff. I remember seeing the one that was the green version of the hardhead dinosaur that was a remold of Dinobot, and I was like, And I remember I took a picture and I Google them I look them up on TFWixy, and then you know how it goes when you go on TFWixy sites, you start deep diving, and then you start learning about all the different molds and the history and the TV shows. And I was like, that's how I found out about BeastWars Second and
When you emerged 3
Neo
days
when I
later.
learned about that toy. And then I was like, I saw like Arcadis, and I was like, ooh, I like his design. And I also saw Karada/Colada, and I was like, ooh, I like him too. And I literally watched Beast Wars. I think I watched Beast Wars Neo before I watched Beast Wars Second, actually, just because I wanted to see Arcadis and Karada in action. Because I had seen the pictures of the toys, and I was like, ooh. And then I went back and watched Beast Wars Second afterwards. And all because I saw that one Beast Machines Dinobot. I mean, yeah. You know what I mean? I'm getting Dinobots plural, not the singular Dinobot.
I know, it's a little bit confusing.
So let's switch over to
Scorn.
our favorite universe, the Beaver.
Yay.
I
Scorn
will
is
say
awesome.
this. Yeah, I would like to see Scorn, the Spinosaurus, show up in things that are not the movies, because it would be. I would like to see a G1 version of that, a comic version of that, because that's a good idea, and I'd like to see it get used in a story that is good.
Yeah, I know the toy guy that we had on the Arjun that we had on the show a while ago.
Yes.
In one of his recent reviews, he was saying he would if his Snarl's his favorite. Like, yeah, for to Studio Series 86 Snarl, that's his favorite Dinobot, unless they make a G1 version of Snarl. I mean, of Scorn. Then they'll be like, oh, no, sorry, Snarl, you're going in the trash now. Scorn has replaced G1. Scorn has replaced you.
Yeah. Yeah, the interesting thing about these guys, too, is, I mean, you can see in this image here, the movie only had 4 of them, but they did make, like, movie versions of Sludge the Brontosaurus and Slash the Raptor and Snarl the Stegosaurus that they made toys out of that just weren't in the movie. And they're all in this picture here, the character art of them.
I'm trying to think who I got toys of. I have Slash, the more not as garishly colored version, the Brontosaurus. I have the big red Voyager size Scorn, and I want to get like the Black Knight version of his deluxe figure.
Yeah.
I literally passed on the entirety of these guys when I bought, what was that, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Autobot base. The Autobot base, for some reason, came with a bunch of these movie formers that were painted in G1 colors. And I just wanted the base, and I literally looked at the guys like, I'll give you so much for the base, keep the figures. And the guy's like, oh, really? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, you gotta understand too. Like, it was a little hard out there for people that wanted updates at the time, because this was before Power of the Primes and Studio Series, so there was not a full set of G1 Dinobots that you could buy like in modern figures. So those movie guys in G1 colors, that was the closest people had if they wanted a full set of G1 Dinobots that weren't literally the originals. So that's why people were after it. We have it so much better now.
Yeah.
Right.
It didn't make any sense to me either when they introduced these guys, and they nobody but Grimlock spoke, and then when the other ones did speak, it was after they transformed and they were going to block a bridge or something. Don't like hold this line or something. And they all speak with a British accent. I'm like, that's not right. That's
I don't even
weird,
think that was
man.
them. I think you were hearing like Crosshairs talk. I'm pretty sure these guys didn't actually have any lines.
Yeah, they had a line
He was
something
mount,
about
and
blocking.
Grimlock was a mount for Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a cool image. I wish it didn't come 2 hours into a 2.5 hour movie, but
There's one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, these guys made me appreciate Rise of the Beasts more, because I was worried the Maximals were going to be the same thing as this, but they were in there earlier and got to be characters and got lines. So I was like, they learned their lesson about how to handle guest characters.
Mm-hmm.
All they had to do was make these guys and all the mistakes that came with them.
Well, there's one stop motion animation that came out maybe 2-3 years ago where they took the scene from the Bayverse movie with Optimus and Grimlock but used it with used G1 toys to do the animation, and it looks so perfect with the identical lines from the movie, but using the G1 characters. It just flows a lot better than what the Bayverse did.
G1 Optimus just pops him in the nose instead.
Hopefully I can find it while we're on here. And Chief Kobe says, phew, just got in from my Costco run.
Do they still have like Transformers in Costco? They used to, and then there was a period where they'd get all these exclusives and things. I'm like, is that still a thing? I don't know. I haven't gone in a Costco in a very long time.
I've never been in one.
Yeah, like that's where like yellow RID Optimus came from, I think. Or was it Sam's Club? One of the two. Same basic idea.
Yeah, since we're speaking about the movie bots, Grimlock, trying to pull up this one toy I got. That was a redeco of a Energon figure.
Yeah.
Cool. You know, what's really funny is I do scrap metal for a living. I'm looking at that picture, thinking, wondering how much money I can get out of that pile of scrap metal.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's really zoomed in.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, in the movie, they're all gray, but the toy line gave them each a unique primary color when they made the actual figures, like how Grimlock is copper, and like that one is, and Slag was purple, and so forth. And the toy designers specifically said, like, yeah, we know it's not movie accurate. We're trying to make them look nicer. They're straight up just like, we're trying to make the designs look better.
Well, that, and it helps it, you know, I mean, for people buying them for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be like, it's gray dinosaur number, I don't know. So, I mean, I feel like that was the other reason to do it, was to have them more readily identifiable from each other.
Yeah, like 5 identical, like even the G1 guys, they had the same colors, but there was like color variety there because it was like gray and red and gold, whereas movie accurate Dinobots would just be like flat gray all the way through. So when they made the toy line, they were just like, forget accuracy. We're going to give everybody a unique color. It's the only way this is going to work.
Yeah, I don't mind Scorn being red. That's like my favorite color. So granted,
Yes,
I know I said
look.
earlier I want to get that Black Knight version of the deluxe figure, but actually I like to get the Black Knight of this. I'm trying to think, the Triceratops had one too, and the Stegosaurus. I keep on wanting to get the green version of the Stegosaurus and then paint his back fins and tail spikes pink so he can be like Slugfest.
Yeah. Even the Black Knight versions, like they weren't totally overkill. Like they still had the accent colors, like, where they were like red or purple depending on the character. Because even then they didn't want to make them all uniform because they knew that was kind of boring when applied to those designs.
That was the last Bay movie that got me. That was the last one to get my money. I'm telling you what.
Well, you obviously weren't the only one, because the following one, which was The Last Night, was the first one to like financially flop, which is why we had the reboots afterwards. So I'm guessing a lot of people had that same sentiment.
I was so mad when I left up out of that theater. I was just livid. I waited almost 2.5 hours to see some Dinobots that didn't get no lines, no character development. They just run off at the end. I was mad.
I have to go. My planet needs me. Yeah. So I have these are the Power of the Primes ones, which were the first set to properly be able to combine. Here's the Grimlock. This is one of Jess's. We never got the rest, just the main guy. Yeah, with his big thick tail that they needed to do so he could combine. Yeah, I always kind of wanted to complete these, but I waited so long, and then they just made mini versions. I was like, I'll just get those instead.
Northern Scaly Chonky Boy.
Yeah, it looks like a beaver tail, honestly.
Which actually, as you're showing Grimlock, it reminds me of the girl that we met at the TFCon last year who made the aprons for Grimlock, which the aprons from the season 3 of G1.
Oh yeah, that was such a wonderful idea.
What did she make them
That's the
for? The
Kim
G1
Kardashian
figures?
of Grimlocks there, and half in his hand.
I think they made it for the Studio Series versions myself. They were carrying one around at the time, I remember.
Grimlock got back.
Yeah, but yeah, these were the first. See, I was just talking about like there was hard times there where all you could get was the movie figures in G1 colors. This was the first modern time that they did all of them at once again, finally. So people snapped up this set because even if they didn't care about the combination, this was the first time you could get all 5 G1 Dinobots again in a modern toy line at once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I heard they were all right. I didn't go in on them at the time, except for the Grimlock, because I just had other priorities. But they were like a decent version of them. The Studio Series ones have probably outclassed them, but at the time, these were like the hot new thing.
Well, the cool thing of watching the Power of the Primes, the characters that they had within that series, with the exception of Windblade, they kind of kept them close to how we knew of the characters. So it was, it was cool seeing the Dinobots being their Dinobot selves in the series. But then when they combined, that's when it just kind of like surprised everyone, because they're like, well, now the Dinobots are combiners, and the combined form is essentially almost everyone was scared of it.
That's the Takara version that they did later on, because he has those 2 huge swords that they added. Yeah, it was kind of a weird kind of combiner because he was really skinny because of Grimlock not being much bigger than the other ones. Also, I'm going to be honest, I forgot until halfway through your sentence that there was a Power of the Primes TV show, so I was fully like, what in the hell are you talking about for like the first half of that? I never watched it. I tapped out like halfway through Titan's Return, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say show-wise, Titan's Return was the worst of the shows, but the best of the 3 toy lines.
Yeah.
Funny how that works anymore, isn't it?
And then Power of the Primes, the toy line was the worst toy line, but the Power of the Prime show was the best of the 3 shows I saw. And then Combiner Wars was just, sort of the middle of the road of all 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
as both
Power of
show
the Primes
and toy.
wasn't even bad. It gave us this whole set of guys, which we're seeing here again. It was just kind of like only 3 waves, and it was kind of a bunch of leftovers that they hadn't gotten to.
Yeah,
in the
it was
other
just
2
this
lines.
kind of weird. It wasn't so much a toy line, so much as toy line 0.5.
Yeah,
Combiner
it was
Wars
DLC.
1.5. Yeah,
but we did get a
whatever
full set
didn't
of
fit in the
Dinobots.
prior 2.
RJ asks, does anyone know what Volcanic's personality is? Did they show his personality in any comic book or a TV show?
Yeah, he was monstrous,
Cyberverse. Cyberverse has him, a version of him.
Yeah, well, the Cyberverse one's quite different in terms of personality. Like this G1 version is pretty much just the Beast, like a monstrous guy.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the Dinobots combining. They're too stupid to do it.
It's funny because the Beast, which we referenced a few times here, that little pack-in comic story that's like infamously bad, is based around the idea that the Dinobots combining is so horrible and wrong that if they do it, it creates this awful monster that will kill everything. Like that's the thesis behind it.
Let's see if we can find an image of the Beast. And
oh yeah, he's got a wiki article and everything. There he is. This predates like that interview on Our Worlds Are in Danger. The guy was like, "They owe me money because I invented Dinobot combining." He was a little bit joking, a little bit not. This is from like the turn of the millennium. It was a comic that was published in the UK, and it was packed in with their DVD sets of the G1 cartoon. That's where it comes from.
RGU also says, I agree. I'm also not a fan of the Dinobots combining.
Yeah. I can take it or leave it. None of the mini guys that I got, them combining was like a bonus to me. I mostly just wanted a set of them, and having them in that small form was convenient. And I think a lot of people felt the same way about the Power of the Primes ones. Like that's an extra feature, take it or leave it. Mostly we just want the 5 Dinobots. Yeah, I guess it only bothers me in the sense that some of them are a little compromised design and engineering wise in order to make the combination happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, Swoop's the best one probably because like he's not really compromised at all. He's got a little combiner peg on him that flips out, and that's the only thing about him that has anything to do with combining. Whereas guys like Grimlock's really weird proportions, even the new one's got like a huge like back end and like ball joints and things in weird places, is because he also has to combine, whereas if he didn't, it would be a stronger figure. So that's about as much as I care / don't care about the combination.
Well, what's cool is the dollar store we have here called yes, Dollarama. And it was just the one time I saw the figures in the store, and it was a good thing I just decided to get them because like I've not seen them since, and it was just luck that all 5 of them were in the store. Which let's see if I can do this here. So this is one of them. So
yeah.
I remember these.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the Grimlock. But,
we were trying to source the designs, but I couldn't quite figure out where they were from. Like if it's a third-party thing or if they genuinely invented their own designs.
Mm-hmm. And
Is that a dinosaur or like a line dancer wearing a dinosaur hat? Look at the legs on that thing. It looks like the legs off the Toy Story character that had the fishing hook on it from the first Toy Story. Legs on that.
Yeah, it does have the energy of one of those people in T-Rex suits.
Yeah, I think my nephew did that this past Halloween. He did the T-Rex costume that you inflate.
Cool. So this is the first one. So again, they didn't give any of them any names, and
can't hardly see the figure because of your green screen.
Yeah, on the back they show like which one of the which part of the combined form that he falls under. And so that's one. The second one, actually I didn't realize I did take them out the box because I still haven't really played around and combined them and stuff. So there's the second one, who he would actually fall somewhat under sludge.
Or is he a long neck or is he a stegosaurus?
Oh, sorry, not sludge. It's not slag either. So he's kind of like a snarl.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw those spines. Oof. I was gonna say the T-Rex mode on the other guy actually looked pretty good, but this guy I'm like, oh yeah, there's the bootleg of it all, like 2 colors, very little paint.
Yeah, and so let's see on. Yeah, so he's apparently the one of the legs.
Yeah, I feel like we'd need to check when we last discussed these, but I feel like somebody knew where these designs had come from. Like somebody in the comments or something. Because the thing about like dollar store stuff like this, it's very rarely original creations. It's always some other tooling that they've ripped off.
Yeah, and so this one is slag.
Yeah, there we go. I like that he's. I wonder if he's purple on purpose, and they're going for like a, because the Age of Extinction toys were purple. If they're sort of riffing on the movie Dinobots.
Yeah, there's even some red on him in addition to that purple on his neck frill.
Yeah. You know, up close like that, like the sculpt doesn't even look bad. It's just like underpainted and feels like his head ought to be able to flip away.
And let's see. So on the box design, he is actually one of the arms.
Mm-hmm. So this version, does Grimlock form the torso on this one, I think?
Let's see. Grimlock is the torso.
Okay, so yeah.
Well, that's what I haven't taken him out of the box yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, blue sludge. I like that color scheme on him. He looks so happy, and he looks dazed and happy. And
It looks like that He-Man meme where it's like, ah.
Especially with those colors on your box there. Yes, 100%.
There we
Love
go.
it. Love it. When I see these, I feel like this is something that China just does on the regular. Like in the tech industry with cell phone repairs, like China will just go ahead and make the cell phone aftermarket screens and batteries for whatever's going to sell, right? And in particular, Transformers, they'll just look at the market share and they make something similar, but obviously they're going to cut down the costs, like the thickness, and the manufacturing, the amount of plastic, the amount of paint apps.
Yep.
And because that's the expertise, that's their expertise in China, their manufacturing. They know how to cut corners and cut costs. So I think the idea comes from the Transformers or a Transformer figure, but they just cut corners as much as they can. Like that Grimlock initially looks like a Grimlock, but it's colored in like a transmetal Megatron.
yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's not direct, but it makes me think of BeastWars Megatron's transmetal form.
Yeah.
Something about the head sculpt and the
hips.
The things on his hips that look like they could fold out into turbines.
Oh, they do fold. As a matter of fact, now that I look at it, it does have a flip out where the hips fold out like turbo fans.
Yeah, those silver things there on his upper legs. Can those like flip out like fans?
Let's see.
I see like a joint there.
Yep.
Oh wow! So they are fully riffing on Beast Wars Megatron because he could do that in his second form.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that makes me like it now. They have yet to do an update of that design.
With a version of a swoop.
Yeah, he doesn't look too great there, but I bet if his legs can fold upwards, maybe they can, then he's just about as good as the original in terms of his design.
Mm-hmm. He has one of the arms like Dive Bomb and Predacon.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised they didn't make his wings removable like they do with Dive Bomb to give him the wings on the back like Predacon.
Well, maybe they are. You don't know. They have to pop them open still.
Yeah, you never
Also,
know.
he's a bootleg, so I'm sure they come off really easily.
Because it's true. Yeah, they are a bit fragile, but it's they're fun.
I did see these at a dollar store locally, and I remembered that you got them, but this was a while back.
Oh yes, those little ones. Those ones are kind of stored away as like a little mini version of Dinobots, and they too can combine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I propose a golf clap for Spin because he never does a reveal, and he did a reveal tonight. So
yeah.
Catch up on the comments. Charlie C said would be cool if Dinobots were smart in combined mode and dumb in individual.
Like they make one robot of average intelligence when the 5 of them come together. Like, what are you, super smart? It's like, no, I'm pretty normal.
Well, it's like funny to point out because I mean, in season 3, Grimlock, getting zapped to become intelligent creates the Technobots and Computron. But if you look at the Technobots through the season, half of them are really, like, a couple of them are brutes and the rest are kind of average. But then Computron's this supercomputer. So it almost kind of plays out exactly like that, but in reverse.
Well, like the individuals are just average and Computron is super smart.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
RJ Eagle says, I am a fan, though, of the 6th Dinobot combiner. Can't remember his name. Scalor, the scaly one.
Scold. my desk is a mess. I had him here. They made him an Ankylosaurus. Like I said, he was in IDW very briefly, just as like their dead teammate. Like, remember this guy? We went berserk and accidentally killed him. We're dangerous, and that's all he exists as. He never even got to have a dinosaur mode. They just gave him this for the toy.
Looking at the toys, I think like a dinosaur. Almost looking like a little bug.
Yeah, well, he's an Ankylosaur. So you got all the spikes and the tail that whips, and yeah, he's fun enough. I do like it when they make additions to the team like that, particularly when they manage to keep the naming convention where everybody has an S name.
And
There's
one Dollarama combiners, interesting. And RJ Eagle says, "So true, Shiba Kobe, great point."
I don't think I have that right now. Nah, they did do a Generation 1 version of Slash the Velociraptor, and they made her a little core class figure. I have it somewhere, but so there's been more than just Scold added to them.
Yeah, that little Velociraptor from
Yeah, Power of the Primes again. Oh wait, is she up here?
And then she had a redeco into Cindersaur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got
She's
both
on
that
this table.
Cindersaur and that Slash.
Oh, gonna zoom. Yeah, I think it's just in storage right now. There we go.
Nice, just as is on the ready.
Yeah, that was a good little one. Just changes into a Velociraptor, same color scheme and everything. Hasn't appeared in any stories at all. They just kind of made her up for the toy line, but a lot of people really, really glommed onto that idea as like an auxiliary Dinobot team member.
As we almost round out the evening with our talks of the Dinobots, of course, we have to give a shout out to one of our favorite websites.
Oh, God.
What do they have to say about
$2,000.
the Dinobots?
Let's see. Well, I found an article that says Dinobots, who are the beastie heroic transformers?
They should just transcribe whatever the Transformers the Basics episode was. Have they done one on the Dinobots? I'm sure they have. It's such an obvious topic. Full of various shape-changing sentient robots. Now, CBR is taking a closer look at the paleontological Transformers factions, from their origins in the animated series and comic books to their live-action debut in Transformers: The Last Night. They debuted in the previous movie.
Age of Extinction.
Yeah. One of the most visually distinct. Who are the Dinobots? The Dinobots were introduced in the animated series as a sub-faction within the Autobots. The Generation 1 Dinobots were constructed by Wheeljack and Ratchet after they discovered dinosaur bones on Earth. Inspired, they built Grimlock, Slag, and Sludge, who were modeled after dinosaurs but lacking higher cognitive functions and originally behaving like wild animals. Optimus Prime initially orders their destruction after they tear through the Ark, only to spare them after Wheeljack upgrades them and has them turn the tide of a battle against the Decepticons. Okay, that's all factually correct. New Dinobots are created, including Swoop and Snarl, with the team unable to combine like other Autobots, but instead function separately as a unit in battle. It's an odd way to put it. Combiner teams unable to combine like other Autobots. No Autobots could combine at that point and wouldn't until almost a season and a half later. Interesting. Changed into dinosaur mode, the Dinobots boast superior endurance and are often tasked with handling missions in hazardous areas. With this in mind, there is a degree of resentment between the Dinobots and Autobots about the increased risk the team faces. but the two factions usually mend fences when faced with a common enemy. What do the Dinobots do? Unable to defeat the Dinobots unless in their combined forms. Megatron and the Decepticons played on Grimlock and the Dinobots' insecurities and arrogance. Where is this thing about all these combined forms coming from?
I was wondering that as well. I'm like, okay, it started off okay, and then they just kept going with this combined form. I'm like, where are they going with this? And
Yeah, there wasn't any combiner teams at this point. That wasn't a concept that existed yet.
No, let's pause for 1 second. What does Mixer Magnus have over there?
Oh, that's a slash in the Velociraptor mode, so everybody can have a quick look.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was a good. See, I like that design because it's obviously has all the exact same design language as the G1 Dinobots, so it fits right in with them.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Bill has the sexed up
Yes.
third party version of her, because I can see him having that.
Yes. Don't ask stupid questions.
Okay, does he have? Yes, he does.
And I'm sure she's like bowing down, hugging Emperor Starscream's leg or whatever.
But you know what?
I did just find a really good wind blade that I'm fixing to order.
Oh. Well, Shiva Kobe says, I'm going to make me some lawn spinach.
Don't know what that is.
Lawn spinach.
I please don't cook spinach literally on your lawn unless you mean like you're cooking it on proper cooking utensils outside for some specific reason. You don't like barbecue spinach, so I don't know why you would be doing it on your lawn.
I mean, you could barbecue spinach. I don't know what the outcome would be, but she also said, I picked up a Studio Series 86 NA yesterday, by the way. The ready things finally showed up around here.
Yeah, it's because they just straight up reshipped them in this current wave of stuff that's out.
No.
Yeah, he's in the same wave with Gamer Edition Sideswipe and Concept Bumblebee Movie Sunstreaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought. Dandelions.
It's dandelion greens grown on an organic farm. I call it lawn spinach as a joke.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, you could pick dandelion leaves and eat it just like that. I've done that. Picked them right out of the yard and put it in a salad. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's not quite earthy, but it's a little bit heavier than regular lettuce or spinach, I would say. But yeah, it's not bad.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I was going to say, to the Velociraptor that Mr. Magnus has, I think a cool custom version would be to take that and paint it the Toronto Raptors colors.
Ooh,
yeah, totally.
It's a small little figure too, so that'd be like an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that they combine
a lot
two.
of ball joints, so you can take it apart easily, paint it more easily.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of your maple syrup teams up there or something? Canadians and their flappy heads.
The Canucks.
I'm not terribly invested in sports, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is mad that you said that. It's not me, but
There we go.
I like that they're like combining episodes here. After coming to blows with Optimus, eventually the Dinobots set up their own headquarters on Dinobot Island, an island full of dinosaurs brought to the present by a time warp. That's not quite how any of it happened.
No, not one bit. And Shiba Kobe says, drop them in boiling water for 10 minutes. They turn out almost sweet.
Love an easy dish.
Yeah, so they did.
Oh yeah, Spin. After you get done with the CBR article, I sent you on Discord a picture you could share. It's a dandelion lion that I remember I remembered Shiba Kobe when she was talking about lawn spinach came to mind just now. Figure she'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Various comic book adaptations would reimagine the Dinobots as a specialized Autobot strike force, while the BeastWars animated series would simplify their origins as a lone Dinobot initially working for the Decepticons who rebelled and changed sides. That's not accurate.
Okay, you gotta take a shot now, Anthony.
Yeah, take a shot to the head. You couldn't even see the gun because it's so small.
You just die from alcohol poisoning, probably already, just from all the inaccuracies and inconsistencies already, just from this. How much longer is this article?
Like, they didn't simplify their origins. That's a guy who's named after them and was a Predacon, not a Decepticon. And
wow. All right, let's keep going. It's almost done.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go. Why are the Dinobots in the Transformers movie?
To that Windblade. In private.
There. Okay, so they got it right. The Dinobots made their debut in the Transformers cinematic universe in 2014's Age of Extinction. Okay, so the title made a mistake, but the article didn't. More bestial than their appearances in other media, the live-action Dinobots cannot speak and are considerably larger than the Autobots and Decepticons, with the Autobots able to ride their dinosaur counterparts into battle. Okay, basically correct. Dinobots are held captive on the ship used by Lockdown, only to be freed by Optimus Prime over the course of the film with the Sword of Judgment. Initially wary of the Autobots, the Dinobots agree to help after Optimus defeats their leader Grimlock in single combat. The Autobots ride their new allies into battle to turn the tide in the Battle of Hong Kong against Galvatron and his forces. Grimlock and the Dinobots briefly reappear in Transformers The Last Night, hiding out from Transformer hunting forces in Kay Yeager's junkyard, before presumably returning to Cybertron on Lockdown's ship. That last bit, like we don't see them after the junkyard stuff, so we don't really know where they went. The movie kind of forgets about them. Yeah. Whether as their own fully sentient faction or or a more bestial ally to the Autobots, the Dinobots have long been a fan favorite group within the world of Transformers and have been a recurring mainstay in virtually every media adaptation of the beloved franchise. Okay, so it ended basically correct, but it made a lot of mistakes around the middle and beginning.
Oof.
I'll say this much. I don't think it's written by AI because these are the kind of mistakes that feel more like the work of a person who had maybe 10 minutes to do research and had to pound this out really quickly to meet a word count and an article limit.
Wow.
At least that's my theory.
I think that is a working theory. So on that note.
And I don't think they proofread it, or they didn't care, or if they did, they didn't care to correct it.
No.
Who said that? And then I was like, I bet somebody was like, oh, it's not like anybody's going to be pouring over this in detail later on, say, a show or something. Screw it, just turn it in. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
RGU says it will be interesting what version of the Dinobots Skybound will eventually use.
I'm betting they're going to go, because Skybound is very G1 cartoon oriented in terms of what it's doing. I bet it's going to be straight up like Wheeljack and Ratchet build them on Earth again, just like the G1 cartoon. And the comics have never done that, so I think that'll be really interesting if that's where they go with it. Cool. Because the Skybound stuff has pretty much just been the original cartoon, but on steroids. So,
yeah.
Oh my God! Wouldn't it be fantastic if they reference Dr. Smooth's video in that? My name's Wheeljack. I make stupid robots. That would be epic if they would do that.
I wonder, because I'm like, Daniel Warren Johnson, we don't really know. I mean, like, he was a fan of the show, but we don't know what else he's seen. And he's the kind of guy to put weird references like that in his stuff. So there's an outside possibility. You good? What's she trying to do? Can you hear her meowing over here?
I can.
Oh, yeah.
You have a Windblade or Windgirl / Windblade up on the screen.
Does that one transform?
That's why I'm getting this one and not the other one.
Oh, nice. It's always impressive when they make these transformable. Yeah, there it is. I wouldn't see. It's kind of robot where you're like not totally sure if it can or not until you see the other mode. It's kind of weird looking vehicle mode, but then I guess it matches the robot mode.
Let's see.
The last couple of pictures are a lot better.
She's going to be rubbing up on Starscream's leg.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, I like that. I like that they made the swords like the wings. That's a good way to handle it. Oh, a lot of swords.
Yeah, she has 6.
Giant headpiece. Wind girl. You all right? There you go. She just wanted to be at the top of my bookshelf.
My first introduction to Windblade was what was it? The Titans.
Titans Return.
Yeah, just an
it's
insufferable freaking character.
Well, that was a very poorly written show, so don't blame her for that. The character has been in lots of other stuff that's been very good. She debuted in the comics, and that was a pretty well done, well written version of her.
Actually, it kind of makes me wonder. The big clapback that Disney's getting from replacing girl characters or replacing guy characters with girl characters. I wonder if they tried to put her in a Transformers show or movie now, if they would get the same clapback. Which would suck if her character really was better than what I saw on Titans Return. I would be interested
definitely.
I'd really be interested in giving her another shot. But would it get the same clapback that Disney's getting?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be real. People love to get mad about this stuff on the internet for engagement, so I feel like they would regardless, just to try and make those videos.
Well, from what I remember of Windblade, it was the one complaint of them, of Hasbro or whoever is behind them, kind of almost in a sense rewriting the storyline as if Windblade was there from '84 and we just somehow overlooked this.
That's not
that
been my
video right
experience.
there is just a how to transform her. It's real quick.
But the important thing about Windblade was like the character was created by fan vote. Like I even voted in those polls. Like they did a long series of online surveys where you picked pretty much everything about the character, and like the popular vote won. Like the gender was one of the things that was voted on.
Move down to they're going to show all the things. If you go way down, it shows the transformation.
Yeah, what's really wild, I remember you saying that before, that she was a fan-made character, basically, that they voted on. But then I also remember, like, fans bitching over and over and over, just thread after thread in the Facebook groups about her just mere existence.
Yeah, I'm like, did you guys miss the poll?
Span, I'm sorry, go to the one above that one. Go to the video above that one.
Yeah. It was literally created by popular consensus, basically. Yeah, it wasn't just okay. So
it's only a minute 17 seconds. I was going to say it's a short video.
Gender, faction, alternate mode from a long list. They picked jet. Main colors from a long list. They picked red and black. Main weapon. They picked sword from a list. The name Windblade also from a long list of available names. So people were, you could vote in blocks. So people would vote for Jet and vote for Windblade because it would be like, what if it was like a car and it had to be named Windblade? That would be funny, but it didn't shake it.
Yeah, there's a third party retool of a Minerva figure.
Yeah, they did that.
Tire instead of the turbine in her wheel, because I've seen it in the wild but I didn't buy it at the time.
Yeah. So then the character was designed, and she got a figure, and then they introduced her in the IDW comics, along with Chromia and Nautica and a couple other characters, just arriving with them and just becoming a part of stuff, and got a character-centric miniseries, and then just kind of joined the rest of the cast. And then she was on Titans Return and Combiner Wars and stuff, and was on Robots in Disguise and was in Cyberverse, and kind of hasn't been in too much stuff lately. She was in Brian Ruckley's comics in like a secondary role, but we haven't seen her in any stories lately. So I would call her the opposite of overexposed. They gave her a new figure like very recently, which I have, but fictionally she's kind of fallen off the radar. So I wouldn't mind seeing her again in something, even if people complained.
Well, to be fair, they didn't complain as much as they complained about Drift. So
Yeah, that's the difference, right? Nobody asked for Drift. Shane McCarthy, the guy who wrote All Hail Megatron, decided he was going to put his own original character in there and make a big deal out of him. Whereas Windblade was like a Windblade. It's like, you did this, everybody. You can't be mad about this because you literally voted on it. This is your creation. She's all of your fault. I say that like it's a bad thing. I like the character, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, she's definitely better in and more in line with her IDW 1.0 self in Cyberverse.
Yeah,
she's
Cyberverse
like this
is a good
very.
one.
I mean, she has a friend of hers get killed in the like the first few minutes of Combiner Wars, and then she acts like a very angry the rest, especially the first Combiner Wars, very angry, and she wants to like assassinate.
Yeah,
Like
it was a
Hot
weird
Rod,
take on her because that's
Starscream, and
not how
Mistress
she's
of
been played in other
Flame.
stuff.
And she's much more angry and violent than she is in the comics and her other depictions.
Yeah.
So
So her big thing in the comics was she was a city speaker, which meant that she could communicate with Metroplex and the other Titans. Because in that continuity, they're like a little bit unknowable because they're giant ancient things. So they get her to act as like an intermediary, and that's like her big important role.
And yeah, and then because of that, her as a city speaker, she has to be able to keep calm, so she's not overwhelmed when she telepathically connects with Titans, because otherwise they'll just overwhelm her. I mean, they show that more in maybe in Dark Cybertron, maybe in IDW 1.0, and definitely in Cyberverse, because there's that Titan in Damon's basement or whatever.
Yeah.
And when
Titan
she
in the
tries to do it,
basement.
it's like, nope, not today, lady.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's time for me to turn in. I got to roll.
All right.
5 o'clock comes very early in the morning.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I just looked out and noticed it was a quarter after.
Well, we are up to round up in the next couple minutes, but before you disappear for the evening, let everyone know where you're going to be next weekend.
Next weekend, I will be in Owensboro for the OMG Con 2024. On Sunday at 11:30, I'll be doing a panel on extreme collecting, not just Transformers, but everything. It's a do and don't panel, and there will be a Q&A at the end, and there'll be a lot of this stuff here will be on display.
Awesome, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So hope to see y'all there.
Yeah.
Bring some
Peace out.
video.
All right, take care, Mr. Magnus.
Ciao. Have fun.
Later on.
Yes, and as we're slowly wrapping up, what does everyone have for upcoming? Starting with SETTOM Bach Arts, what do you have coming up for the week?
Trying to think trying to remember which project. I think there's doing some constellation related artwork, and I don't think I finished mine's. So I guess I'll be finishing that up, or just if I decide to do anything more with it, or just keep it as is. I did a lot of painting with I worked with the grain of the wood to create like the gas clouds and whatnot instead of forcing it. And everybody was like, "Ooh, that was a neat decision to do it that way." But otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing art-wise. Otherwise, it's the same old usual saying, okay, I'll post to Instagram.
That's
cool. Yeah, a quick question from RJ Eagle. Did you guys talk about Dinobot's scoring from the Bayverse movie? Yeah, he was a sick toy.
Yeah, we did a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to see him show up in other stuff other than just the movies, because a Spinosaurus Dinobot seems like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just need more bipedal Dinobots in general, because, I mean, The only prominent one consistently is Grimlock, and the rest of them are, quadrupeds. So, and you only see Scorn and Slash like, sporadically. So,
Cool. Over to Toy War Vintage Reviews on YouTube. What do you have coming up in the next week or the near future?
Okay, not this week. Hopefully next week on Toy Warp, I will be reviewing with one of the last two pieces of the Bigfoot line. It's the Bigfoot Performance Center. This thing's really cool. If you know what an engine dyno is, it's like an engine dyno you can put the trucks on, and it actually raises up and turns numbers, and you can polish the wheels, and it's really cool. So on Toy Warp, we'll be doing the video for that, and over on Cruisers Motorsports just released, if you have any inkling of a gearhead and grew up in the 80s, I have the explanation of why in a video over on Cruisers Motorsports. So that's the latest video over there.
Cool. Looking forward to it. I always like reading about this stuff. That's a whole different world to me. Watching, you know what I mean?
Over to Deceptikitty, what do you have coming up in the near future?
Yeah, so this week I've planning on doing a lot of 3D printing to get ready for the TFCon that's upcoming. And while I'm in the swing of it, I'm going to try and do as much as I can, because if I let it sit for too long, then I can't get then I lose the flow, and then the alcohol bath dries up and the resin has to get mixed. So yeah, this week I'm planning on trying to get that out of the way, just to 3D print as much as I can for preparation of TFCon.
Not knowing how this works, I'm just picturing you like over a giant witch's cauldron full of resin, like stirring it with a big spoon.
Yeah. I enchant these things to life.
Now, when is you guys' TFCon?
July 13th to 15th, I think.
12th to 14th.
12th to
14th.
Oh, wow.
Thereabouts.
That's the same weekend I'm going to the big Tampa toy show and meeting Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh.
Did you say Chris Latta? Who are you meeting?
Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, Sergeant Slaughter, right on.
Like, the toy convention happens in the boundary of life and death. I'm traveling there to commune with the spirit of Chris Latta.
I'm going with my antique Ouija board, yeah.
Oh, no. And also to Deceptikitty, what else are you going to be premiering at TFCon?
So this TFCon, I have a big surprise. I'm preparing a demo specifically for this con, and then I'll also be releasing part of the demo online, but the main demo is going to be playable at the Children of Primus booth at TFCon, and we have a great corner, so come visit our booth. It's going to be a
corner
heck of a
booth
show.
too. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It should be nice. We paid for it.
Over to Fear of Courage, what do you have coming up?
I just earlier today finished the photos for my review of Legacy Chromia, who of course I got entirely because I love the purple and blue colors and the sci-fi looking motorcycle. So that review will be out on Friday on Children of Primus News and Reviews. My most recent one right there, as I've said a couple times, is BeastWars Silverbolt. And yes, that Gears and Spider-Man one that everybody loved is on there too. But this is what's there right now. This is what's there next. Beyond that, I don't know. There's a lot of things I could write about. I'm never short on things new and old that I could write several thousand words and many photos about.
Cool. Well, I guess thank you guys for taking the time to hang out. Thank you for everyone in the comments who also takes their time to hang out, and for everyone watching. We always say, comment, to subscribe, give us likes, share the videos, let other people know, and also with the upcoming TFCon, hopefully we can meet up with some of the fans there and just hang out, and we're going to do a couple live streams while we're there. So we're still figuring out the details behind that, but that is the plan. And until next week, as we like to say, until all are one.
All are one.
Till all are one.